Hi, everyone. Landry Ethredge here with Ethredge Counseling Group, joined today by Dr. Etta Gant, who's going to talk to us about disenfranchised grief. Etta, my first question to you is what in the world is disenfranchised grief?
I know it's kind of a mouthful. Um, yeah, but disenfranchised grief is a term that describes kind of like an invalidation of someone's grief, almost like a common like societal response that's taking away someone's grief. They don't have the right to grieve that. Um, it's something that we also do to ourselves. We say, well, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I shouldn't be grieving this person so hard. I only met them a few times, right? Things like that, where we invalidate, take away our own grief, but then it ends up creating blocks and inhibiting our process to move forward with grief.
hmm I'm curious how grief like sort of becomes disenfranchised. What happens to make grief become sort of I forget the word you use, but yeah, disenfranchised.
Feeling like your either response to grief or your right to grieve is wrong. So there's all kinds of examples of this. It could be if you're not crying enough at your family member's funeral, and others thinking, okay, well, she's not grieving the right way. She didn't really care about that person. That's even disenfranchising that your grief, because you're grieving in your own way. You might be crying later. You might not be crying at all. You might be feeling other emotions. That doesn't make your grief any less valid. So it's disenfranchising the way you grieve as well as what or why you're grieving. So a great example that you brought up to me one time is someone who is divorced. They had an affair. They, in quotes, did that person wrong, and then that person has died, and they're experiencing a massive amount of grief from this person's death. They lived a whole, marriage with them, and everyone says, "Well, you don't have the right to grieve. You did them wrong." Right, that's complicated. That's really, really hard. But like we've said before, grief is inevitable. Losing someone is so hard with all the complicated, messy stuff. Um,
Yeah.
very few relationships don't have complicated, messy stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. Yeah, there's so many good examples when you start thinking about it of how we sort of invalidate our grief or it gets invalidated by others. I think too this might be kind of hard to think about, but like the death of an abuser even, there could certainly be grief with that and also a sense of relief. So, whatever emotions come up are
Even
important.
the with an abuser, there's typically tons of grief with that. All the things that you miss with that person, the home you lived in with that person, all of those things.
Right? The relationship, the grief of what the relationship could have been if XYZ.
Mhm.
Right? So it's
Mhm. Mhm. Miscarriages are really common, especially in the first trimester. Oh, well, thank God it was early, right? Things like that that people say, hoping it's supposed to make you feel better, but actually it makes you feel terrible.
Mhm.
Wow, okay, I guess I'm gonna be so upset, or wow, they have no idea what I'm feeling.
Mhm. Right. And again, I think it sounds like it can come externally or internally. Like, well, I was barely pregnant, or, there's so many ways that we can invalidate that grief. And in a way that causes more problems. It really is more helpful to validate it and then we can move through it versus invalidating it. It just sticks that it stays there. It just never gets processed and it kind
Right.
of uses out sideways in other ways sometimes. But uh, yeah, do you have any other examples or suggestions for us when facing disenfranchised grief?
hmm Other examples I think are just like non-death loss as well. Like we've been talking about losses that aren't necessarily death, um, breakups, divorces, job loss,
Mm.
um, any disappointment or change, moving, things like that. Everyone's like, you just moved to a great new place. What are you so upset about? Right? And then you get there and you don't realize, oh my God, I miss everything. I miss my old walk to the grocery store. I miss the tree outside.
Mhm.
I miss all of these things, even though I know this is a positive change. I was so excited for this change. it's so complicated. So then we're disenfranchising our grief that no, I know this is good. I was excited about this. I know this is good. But it's okay. Things are complicated. Usually every situation comes with good, bad, change, all the things.
I really think this is such an important topic because I think for a lot of people who experience anxiety or depression, a lot of times it is because there was some loss or disappointment or change that never got fully grieved, and it pops up later as anxiety, depression, and other and relationship issues, all this stuff. So often in my work with clients, it goes back to something that wasn't grieved. I would say more than half the
Mm.
it goes back to something that wasn't grieved. Even if there was like you were saying, even in a positive change, there's still something that is lost. So wow,
I should be happy. I should be happy. But
should
things are complicated. Yeah.
shoulds really are
Hmm.
not great for us. Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much for tackling such a difficult topic, the topic of grief, in so many in all the forms that it takes, whether it's with children or disenfranchised grief or traumatic grief, grief relating to death, grief relating to change, all of these different ways that it pops up for us as part of the human experience. So, to anyone listening who would like to work with Etta or another therapist on staff, please reach out to us at ethridgecounseling.com and you can schedule a consultation there and get started and start working through this. And yeah, Etta, thank you again so much for your time.
Thank you.